The Magic's defense is really good. Really, really good. Another defensive quarter to remember that delivers the Magic a win that matters. Today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is November 14th, 2024. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. Of course, follow me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, how the Orlando Magic's defense put the vice grip on the Indiana Pacers in a way that really only they can. What the Magic continue to show on the defensive end, plus why this win matters a ton. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. No matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right when we upload, we truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic an even bigger part of your day with the new Locked On Magic daily newsletter. It's the one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. We know that the Orlando Magic's identity is defense. They tell us that all the time. We are a defensive team. Our defense comes first. Our defense feeds the offense. Defense travels. If we can't control whether shots go in or not, they can, kind of. But our defense will always be there. That's who this team is. And no matter who's in or out of the lineup, the Magic expect to be a strong defensive team. We can say everything we want to say about the Magic being without Paolo Banchero for the time being. We could say everything we want to say about being out one of the best players in the league. But Paolo Banchero should not change the defense. We should still expect the Magic to be one of the top defensive teams in the league. And frankly, what was disappointing during the 5-game losing streak was that the defense was not elite. Let's put it that way. We expect and anticipated this Magic defense would be among the very best in the league. And indeed, entering Wednesday's game against the high-powered, offensively minded Indiana Pacers, the Magic were second in the league in defensive rating. Second best defense in the league, and it definitely felt like they had left something on the board. But it's one thing to be great defensively against the Washington Wizards. It's one thing to be great defensively against the Charlotte Hornets. To do it against the Indiana Pacers, a team that is all about pace, all about getting up as many shots as possible, efficient at doing so, have a great point guard in Tyrese Haliburton, even with all the injuries that they have. To do it against the Pacers in a must-win situation in the fourth quarter is something else. Because look, we could say all the things we want about this Magic team, but there is a pattern. There is something consistent, something that we can point to over the course of the season as early as it is at 13 games, something we can point to at every point of the season, say, that's something that carries over. And one thing that is carried over time and time again this year is the Magic's defense can lock in for 6 or 7 minutes and completely obliterate a team. And that's what happened in the fourth quarter against the Pacers on Wednesday. The Pacers scored just 18 points. They're outscored 26-18. The Magic turned a 4-point deficit to start the quarter into as much as a 12-point lead. The Pacers missed their first 6 shots. They don't score for 4.5 minutes, commit 3 turnovers in those 4.5 minutes, all while the Magic are flipping the game on its head. And it's not even just about that. It's the little moments. It's Anthony Black blocking a shot. It's Jonathan Isaac blocking a shot, pulling down a big rebound, getting a steal and a run out. It's all the little moments that make this defense so terrifying. As Anthony Black put it after the game, there is a little bit of joy in seeing the other team get so frustrated and seeing the other team searching for answers and finding none. They're trying to find their way through the sea of arms and length and physicality that is the Orlando Magic defense. The Magic shut down. They shut down the Indiana Pacers in that fourth quarter. They knew that the game was on the line, and on the second night of a back-to-back, no less, on a night where the offense wasn't flowing, wasn't working, they dug down deep, and they just got stop after stop after stop after stop. I've described watching this defense when it is at its best like a snake closing in on its prey. It's got them wrapped up, and the more they resist, the tighter that grip gets. That's the Magic's defense. At its best, it is hounding, it is physical, it is harassing, it is disruptive, it is every kind of adjective that you can find because it's going to stop you from scoring. That's who the Magic are. That's who this team is. As Jonathan Isaac put it, who made several big defensive plays, the Magic had 10 blocks. They forced 17 turnovers for 17 points. They were just everywhere. At 8 steals as well, including 4 by Anthony Black. As Jonathan Isaac put it, it's just contagious. Once you feel that momentum coming on, when one guy gets us one stop, you just feel that energy. It's almost like you could sense this is going to be our run when we get stops. That's what the Magic did in this fourth quarter. They got stop after stop after stop after stop. And even though they weren't always scoring on those stops, they just kept getting them. Again, that's the central part of this team's identity. No matter who's in or out of the lineup, the Magic expect to defend at an incredibly high level, at an increasingly high level. They expect to be someone that just stifles everybody. The final tally in the fourth quarter, Indiana shot 5 for 19. Got a little hot at the end, made it a little more interesting than maybe it needed to be. As the Magic went into a shell, their offense still a piece of work. But Orlando just slowly choked out this Pacers team. Only way to describe it. If you're in a fight with the Magic are going to choke you out. The Pacers scored only 92.8 points per 100 possessions. Their second worst offensive showing of the year. Their worst was the loss to Charlotte earlier this week. Orlando on this homestand has put together defensive ratings of 91.7, 100, 88.1, and 92.8 now. The Magic haven't given up 100 points since this homestand began. And yes, I know, New Orleans, Washington, Charlotte, not the strongest competition. Indiana, though, Indiana's good competition. Indiana's a tough team. Indiana is a playoff caliber team, even with the injuries that they're facing. Orlando had held Tyrese Halliburton to 3 for 14 shooting and 9 points. He had 8 of his 11 assists in a 27-point first quarter that Indiana repeated in the third, but not to the same extent. The Magic just locked them up. And if the Magic are going to maintain the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, which at 7-6, they are the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. If the Magic are going to maintain this, if the Magic are going to have any shot of succeeding and maintaining their goals with Paolo Banchero out, this is the kind of defense they have to play. This is who they are. And the Magic will give themselves plenty of chances to win, despite poor shooting. And the Magic did not shoot particularly well again in this game. They will give themselves plenty of chances to win, to make up for their mistakes, if their defense is dialed in like this. They've shown us they can do it multiple times throughout the season, and they understand they can still do it for longer. They can still get better on defense somehow. It's been a weird start to the season. Everyone can kind of acknowledge it. Between the injury to Paolo Banchero, to players getting off to slower starts, to even like Franz Wagner being sick for that week that he was sick. Now that he's better, we see how good he can be. It's been a weird start to the season. Even the Magic's defense is, even though statistically it's looked really good, has felt a little bit off. It's felt like they're still experimenting and seeing what they can get away with. They can get a little over aggressive and push themselves out of position. They're the top defensive rebounding team in the league, but they'll give up some offensive rebounds. Gave up 7 in this game. They still struggle to defend without fouling at times too. And especially teams have discovered and teams are trying and testing them in transition, trying to beat them before they can get that vaunted defense set. Because everybody in the league knows the Magic in a half-court defensive set are just really tough to score on. And while the Magic can point to slow starts that have put them a little bit behind the 8 ball at times, this team always adjusts. This team always finds that gap, that ability to get back into the game. And once the Magic get their defensive hooks into you, if they're in the game, if they get those defensive hooks into you, you're going to be in pain for half a quarter. And that half quarter against a lot of teams is enough to give the Magic a victory. This is a better defense than the Magic had last year. Let's make that 100% clear. When the Magic are playing their best defensively, they are better than they were last year. And last year, they were pretty darn good too. And of course, it's just November. It's just the beginning. The Orlando Magic won against the Indiana Pacers. Usually mid-November, not the time to talk about April. Why this game says a lot about the Magic beyond just how good their defense is and what it says about the playoff chase. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Obviously, big weekend here at Orlando. Orlando City's got their playoff game in a couple weeks, but Orlando Pride with the NWSL semifinals against the Kansas City Current coming up on Sunday. Orlando Magic obviously playing against the Philadelphia 76ers. There's concerts going on. There's theater going on. I bought my tickets to go see Creed and Three Doors Down in December, and Game Time is the place to go to make sure you are getting the best price on tickets for whatever you're looking to attend. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live even easier. Game Time Picks will filter out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Use the app. Features like you can use the app to get access features like the customize your spot and find curated deals that make it easier to find the best price on great seats. Their all-in pricing feature, if you toggle on, feature shows the total upfront with no surprise fees at checkout. They give you the digital panoramic seat view so you can see what the stage, field, court, whatever will look like before you buy your tickets. And with their lowest price guarantee, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference if you find a similar seat with a cheaper price. Game Time takes all the guesswork out of buying tickets, and Game Time helps you find exactly the event you want to go to. So, download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMAGIC for $20 off your first purchase. Again, terms apply. Create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMAGIC or LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Game Time today. What time is it? Game Time. So it's mid-November. It's mid-November. We're not even a quarter of the way through the season. We're 13 games into the season. And it's hard to claim any game is just gigantically huge. Obviously, we got NBA Cup games going on right now. Those are big. Those have weight beyond just the regular season because they are part of this competition, which maybe you care about, maybe you don't. I know that people are still very split on this thing. I'm all in on it. I love it. I think it's been great. I think it's fun. I like fun. I like changing things up. I like trying new things. I always respect the NBA for being willing to try something new. But those games have some manufacturer importance. Wednesday's game against the Indiana Pacers was important on several levels. It was a game that I think a lot of us had circled on our calendar very early on in the season, really when the schedule came out, because we saw the Magic are going to play the Pacers 3 times in the first month of the season. And beyond that, we know that game 81 is in Indianapolis. The Magic see them 3 times before Thanksgiving. We won't see them again until the very, very end of the season. And my friend Tony East from Locked On Pacers also made this comment. We both shared this thought. Game 81 is going to matter. If the Magic and the Pacers are as good as everybody expects, and maybe they are, maybe they aren't, we're still very early in the season. Standings are still shaking out, but these two teams entered with 500 records. Someone was going to leave a game up on the other, roughly a game up on the other. We all understood that it was very, very likely that that game in Indianapolis was going to matter for seeding and for potential tiebreakers. Well, guess what? It's probably too early to talk about April, so I'll come at this from another angle here in a minute. It's probably too early to talk about April. But the Magic, with this victory and their win against the Pacers 2 weeks ago in Orlando, with the 50-point Paolo Banchero game, just guaranteed they will not lose the season series to the Pacers. The Pacers Magic tiebreaker will still be determined in April, but will not be determined by the season series unless Orlando beats Indiana in April. This is a huge deal. This is a playoff level opponent. This is an opponent that we expect to be a playoff caliber. This is a rival. It's a real rivalry. Not just because Tyrese Halliburton called us out on NXT and called out Magic fans on NXT, I might add. There's some legitimately bad blood. Like Goga Batadze was joking about how much he loves beating the Pacers and that he's been very thankful the Magic have done it very often in his career. It's a little bit of bad blood there. We saw him and Siakam get into it. There is definitely, the Pacers are flummoxed by the Magic and the way their defense slows them down and frustrates them. This is a real budding rivalry. And it's a rivalry that we do expect to matter in the playoff chase. It is a competition. It is a grouping that we expect to be a factor when it gets to the end of the season. So if the Magic are sitting in the 4th seed playing the Pacers, 1 game ahead of them, this win gives them a little bit of a cushion, perhaps. We'll see. But that game is going to be important on its own. But now Orlando can clinch the season series. Like, let's say we get to the end of the season. Orlando's sitting in the 5 seed, Indiana's the 4 seed, and the two teams are tied. Well, guess what? A win in Indianapolis clinches the season series and clinches the Magic staying ahead of the Pacers. That's the power that they got in this game. This is with the teams playing each other 3 times before Thanksgiving. This was as big and as important as a November game could get. And the Magic won it. Now, I'm sure the Magic did not think about April. I'm sure they're aware of it. I'm sure they understand that it's important for that. They're not thinking about April. They're thinking that, hey, this is a very good Pacers team. This is a team that we have to beat. This is a team that is considered on our level. And we have to prove that we are still good enough to beat these teams. Look, they beat the Wizards. They beat the Pelicans. They beat the Hornets. They blew those teams out. They took care of their business and did so in impressive fashion. But those teams aren't exactly playoff teams. No offense to those teams. Certainly the Pelicans, when they're healthy, might be, but they're hurt right now. The Magic took care of their business, but no one was writing home saying, okay, the Magic are ready to hold on to the 4th seed or hold on to home court advantage until Paolo returns. Now you can't necessarily say that. Now the Magic do have a nice, impressive win on their resume. Now they do have a win that says, okay, we are legitimate. This isn't just a fad. This is something. What it is, I don't know, but it is something. It is something for this Magic team to build on. And frankly, it's not even just that they beat the Pacers. It's that they beat the Pacers the way they beat the Pacers. Second night of a back-to-back, granted, no travel, but second night of a back-to-back where this Magic team has struggled mightily for the last 2 years. Struggling a bit offensively throughout the course of the game. They started off hot, got really cold, turned the ball over 10 times in the first quarter. 10 of their 17 turnovers came in the first quarter. Went down by 12. Had to scratch and claw their way back. Had to drag this game into the freaking mud. Had to hold this Pacers team to 90 points because as good as their defense was, this was one of the worst offensive games for the Magic all season long too. They left so many points on the board. They were 2 for 11 on second chance points, 20 for 41 on points in the paint. They left a lot of opportunities on the board. They could have won this game by 20 very easily with a decent offensive showing. Credit to the Pacers defense. They stepped up and the Magic were very sloppy at times. But the Magic could have easily kind of wilted down 12, and with the absences they have, maybe we would have expected that and forgiven it a little bit. But the Magic clawed back. The Magic fought back. And to me, that says so much. That tells me what this team is made of. You know, it takes a lot to be the kind of dominant defensive team that this Magic team can be. It takes a lot. That is not easy at all. And the Magic showed that resolve once again. The Magic showed how dynamic they could be. They showed that they're willing to put it all on the line for every game on their schedule. This was a truly, truly impressive game. The kind of game that shows you they have, I mean, I don't want to go so far to say championship medal, but it's the kind of game that championship teams find a way to win. I don't know if the Magic are quite at that level yet. Obviously, we got to wait to see for Paolo to come back to you, but this was a gutsy, gritty win. I know Indiana's down some key players, but this was a gutsy, gritty win. The kind of win that only coaches can enjoy and really only the winning team can take pride in. So take some pride in it. This was not easy to say the least. And the Magic put themselves in a position to be really confident that not only can they sweep this homestand, but they can keep building as they go on the road. That they can hold on to the 3 seed. They're 7-6 starting the East. Why, with the way the East is set up, why can't they hold on to it? This was a big game. This was a character game that's going to help this team grow and develop throughout the course of a very difficult December on the horizon and certainly the rest of the season. We've talked about the team as a collective. Let's talk about the individuals. We'll go through the box score coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, you live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. FanDuel has so many offers to get you ready for the NFL week this week. The Jacksonville Jaguars in Detroit are 13.5-point underdogs. The Miami Dolphins hosting the Las Vegas Raiders are 7-point favorites. The Bucs mercifully off this week. But November 24th coming up in a week. Bucs are 3.5-point favorites at New York against the Giants. If you're looking forward to college football this week, you can check out great odds on the Florida Gators, 4.5-point home dogs against LSU, or looking for Florida State, although I don't know why you want to cheer that on them. I don't think they're even playing this week, so they're not on the board at all. If you want to get into NBA action, they have that too. NBA Cup odds, the Magic currently 2.5-point dogs hosting the Philadelphia 76ers in their NBA Cup game on Friday with just one game on the schedule Thursday. NBA Cup odds also have the Magic going at plus 2,800, so 28-1 odds to win the NBA Cup. They're currently at plus 370 to win East Group A ahead of the Sixers, even though the Sixers are now favored to beat the Magic in that game on Friday. Big game on Friday. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. We've talked about the team effort in this game, and it was truly a team effort. Love the way the Magic played. This was an ugly win. I love ugly wins. Chuck Daly used to say there's no such thing as an ugly win. They all count the same. This was a gutsy win. This is the kind of win that builds character in a team. I am very serious about this. I had the Magic winning this game. I'm really confident in the way that they're playing. This was a really fun way to win. This is how the Magic are going to have to win games moving forward. There's still a lot to work on, still a lot to improve on. So let's start with Franz Wagner. Franz Wagner was just awesome again. We've done plenty on Franz the last 2 episodes. I want to give, they gave him a break talking to the media. I want to give him a little bit of a break here to you, but 29 points, ended up shooting 9 for 24, 3 for 8 from beyond the arc, 8 for 9 from the foul line, 3 rebounds, 6 assists. Franz just went on these big scoring binges. Frankly, for a long time, at least in the first half, it felt like the Magic couldn't function without Franz Wagner. Running point, just setting everything up for everyone. And right now, he is getting shots where he wants them to. I would argue in this game, perhaps, that he got a little tired. Like, you could kind of see him settling for those jumpers, and those legs weren't quite all underneath him. But I still really loved the way that he plays. He's just on this scoring burst. He is playing with just tremendous confidence. No individual player could stop him. Like, he was getting past Siakam. Like, he was doing what he wanted again. I think the fatigue of playing the back-to-back led him to settle for some jumpers sometimes instead of getting all the way to the basket. But like, it's hard to find holes in Franz Wagner's game. He's doing everything for this team, and he is taking a major leap. Like, we're still probably too early to really dive into all-star discussions, but he's an all-star right now. If the all-star team is being named tomorrow, Franz Wagner is 100% an all-star in this league. There's just no getting around that. He has played at that level. Usually I go to the next guy who scored the most points, but I got to go straight to Anthony Black off the bench. 6 points, 2 for 6 shooting, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals, 2 turnovers. Not an impressive scoring game, but Anthony Black is the reason the Magic won this game. Anthony Black was simply awesome. Just turned the energy of the game in the fourth quarter, just made play after play after play. It could have been a block. It could have been just pushing the ball up the court quickly. Could have been just getting downhill and creating some tension and then kicking back out. He was just making some incredible plays and was part of the energy that this team had to just expand itself, to just put itself in this position to come back and win. When Anthony Black plays well, the Magic usually win. And 10 points has been a nice round number to say, like, if he's getting to 10 points, the Magic are probably doing okay. This wasn't about his scoring in this game, but his energy in the fourth quarter changed everything. The Magic need some stability. They need someone who can organize. They need someone who's just going to make plays. And we'll talk about Jalen Suggs here in a minute. AB is really in command of his role and understanding what his team needs of him. And then he just makes plays on defense. Like, this dude is just a guy that's making plays. It's very similar to Jonathan Isaac. Like, Isaac had a really nice game, 8 points, 3 for 5 shooting, 2 for 3 from 3, 11 rebounds, 3 blocks. Isaac was everywhere. J.I. said after the game, early in the season, he was still kind of getting his legs under him. It was just kind of a weird start, but now he's starting to really feel confident. He played 22 minutes on the second night of a back-to-back. He told us there wouldn't be any restrictions this year. That's certainly proof that there isn't. And, he said after the game about that not having to think about it is actually the accomplishment. He played great. Again, big part of why the Magic won, just commanded the glass, got late duty on Pascal Siakam to make sure that the Pacers did not come back and win the game. Just made some excellent plays. And again, just When you have Black and Isaac on the floor at the same time, again, that defense is just incredible. Their defensive cohesion is really, really good. Before we get to Jalen Suggs, let's talk Goga Bitadze. 12 points, 12 rebounds, 2 blocks. Really kind of typical Goga game. Magic aren't running a lot for him, obviously, but just attacking the glass. He had 6 offensive rebounds, being a presence in the paint. I did think he was pressing a little bit, trying to do a little bit too much sometimes. Certainly some of the turnovers, a lot of it coming from a good place, so I don't think it's a negative thing. But I really love the way that Goga played. This is what you expect from Goga. You expect that 12-10, or the 12-12 at this point, really. And he's got to block some shots. He made some really nice plays. Just a really solid game from Goga. Let's dive into Jalen Suggs then. Let's give KCP a shout out before we dive into Jalen Suggs, get to the negative. 10 points, 4 for 8 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, 5 rebounds, 3 assists. I want to mention this. I don't think I have. KCP's passing is a lot better than I thought it would be. He is a good ball mover. He's a smart ball mover. He's not trying to force very much. This game, he got a shot going. 10 point, 50%, 40% from 3 shooting night. That's kind of what we expected from him. Maybe he could have scored a few more points. I don't know, but this is the kind of game we're expecting from Kenny. There are a few threes, like open threes, where we're just like begging him to make it. Would have been a backbreaker if he did, but he made a couple of big threes throughout the course of the game. And again, just did what we need him to do. Okay, let's get to the negative. Let's get to the one guy that really, really struggled out there. Jalen Suggs had a rough night. 8 points, 2 for 15 shooting, 2 for 11 from 3, 2 for 2 from the line, just 2 rebounds, just 3 assists, 4 turnovers, did have 2 blocks. Like, look, Jalen Suggs' defense is unassailable. Like, he's still an excellent defender. Tyrese Halliburton was 3 for 14. So as bad as Jalen Suggs was on offense, he dragged Tyrese Halliburton down with him. 9 points for Tyrese Halliburton. He had 8 of his 11 assists in the first quarter. So he dragged Tyrese Halliburton into the mud with him. But undoubtedly, this experiment of Jalen Suggs playing point guard and being a quasi point guard of the team, it's had its ups and downs. It has not been perfect. We can't deny or claim otherwise. Suggs, to me, looks like he did his rookie year. And if you remember back in his rookie year, he just looked a little over his skis. He just looked like he was going too fast and like leaving the ball behind and leaving his body behind. He's just like trying to do too much. That's at least what it looks like. He just has a lot of possessions where he's throwing the ball around a little bit too much, a little too hot, just not the right touch, losing the ball a lot off the dribble, just doesn't have a clean handle. This was a frustrating game, and it's been a little bit of a frustrating stretch. He had a nice game on Tuesday against Charlotte, where he made his first 7 shots, but then he missed his last 7 shots. He missed his last 3 or 4 threes. He still had some turnover issues. He's going to make up for a lot of it on the defensive end. He's just so good on defense, but this is a struggle, and it's hard right now because the Magic can't play Franz Wagner 48 minutes. Franz played 36-46 in this game, so about 37 minutes. Those 11 minutes when he's off the floor are really dangerous. And in the second quarter, Franz left the floor. Jalen was in charge. That's when Indiana built its lead. And Suggs just didn't have the ability to attack downhill and create tension in the defense the way that Franz or Paolo can. When you hear people call for a point guard, I don't think it's necessarily for a point guard. It's for a player who can get downhill, force the defense to react to him, get some paint touches, and be smart enough to kick out. I still think Suggs can get there, but undoubtedly right now it's a struggle. And again, I've said this a million times. I think no player has been affected more by Paolo Banchero's absence than Jalen Suggs. He's not getting the same kind of 3-point looks. He's having to create a lot more, and where Franz is really stepped up into that role and flourished in it, Jalen's been a lot more inconsistent. And that, something like that is to be expected. I'm expecting a bad Franz game at some point soon. Although maybe not. He may be an all-star where there won't be a bad game like that. It's definitely a challenge right now, and the Magic are surviving it. It's not crisis mode or anything. Jalen will play better. He'll have a good stretch, and then maybe another bad stretch. That's just going to be the nature of this thing as they go through this experiment. It's what they probably understood was going to happen. But Suggs Suggs definitely needs some work and needs to keep improving, needs to keep finding ways to help his teammates. Mo Wagner with 10 points off the bench, 4 for 7 shooting. Not a lot to say about Mo Wagner. He had 5 turnovers as well. So just a lot of mistakes. This was a really sloppy game offensively for Orlando. Again, you could tell Franz at 29, Goga had 12. That was the next highest score. So a lot left on the table scoring wise. Again, a lot of missed shots. And Orlando did shoot 40% and 34.2% from three. So they shot better from three than Indiana did. Indiana was only 10 for 30. So one of the few times this year the Magic outshot their opponent. That wasn't the factor in this game. It was really just the Magic's defense just locked Indiana out of the game. It was just, again, that go back, watch all the clips you can from that fourth quarter. It was just chef's kiss, just so good. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at PhilipRR_OMD. Find me on Blue Sky at PhilipRR as well. And for the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at OMagicDaily, not on Blue Sky yet. But you can find me on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. For even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. Up on the Patreon page right now is my video breaking down Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and his ability to create space for this Magic team. You can check that out now on my Patreon page. Again, that's patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. As always, thank you for your support. And as if that wasn't enough, your favorite podcast now has a newsletter. Introducing the Locked On Magic Daily Newsletter, one stop for ultimate team and league coverage delivered right to your inbox. Sign up for free now at LockedOnDaily.com. That's LockedOnDaily.com, and start your day with the all-new free Locked On Magic newsletter. That's going to do it for me today, though. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. On tomorrow's episode of Locked On Magic, we'll chat more about the impact of Goga Bitadze on this team. We'll dive into some numbers on that front. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.